IPMNation.com.
And this is probably Brian. He's very, very punctual. Is this Brian Brawdy?
It is, Matt. How are you?
You are punctual. It is exactly 4:15 according to my clock here. Welcome, sir. Brian Brawdy, host of All Natural Being.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, when you said 4:15, I had kind of etched it in the calendar for the day.
Yes. Very good. Very good. So you got this thing coming up. Well, I do.
You've
always got something.
Yeah, the International Block Party coming up. Rob from Rob and Slim and some other friends have gotten together and are doing an 18-hour or involved in an 18-hour marathon where we're going to draw awareness to what's called, the hashtag is called Brian Brain Trust. So it will be an all day on March 30th, kind of all day, right? 18 hours from 6 in the morning till midnight if my health holds. And it'll be all about highlighting. There are hosts from all over different radio shows and the like, but from all over that will be calling in and hanging out and telling their story and see if we can, kind of spread the word a little.
And this will be online. I just want to clarify for anyone listening, this isn't going to be on WMNH or anything like that. This is going to be strictly online. But, and people can participate on Facebook and whatnot. But now you've been on the show with us before, Brian, a while ago. But do you want to kind of, with as much or as little detail as you feel like getting into, do you want to kind of tell us and tell the audience why this is happening, why you're doing this, and how you ended up in this situation, for lack of a better word?
Thank you, Matt. I haven't really told the whole story publicly, so this is kind of a catharsis or a way of getting it out. But we literally just hung up with the doctors a little while ago, and they're suggesting that I go back for a 5th brain surgery. Now, I've had 5.
Wow.
This will make the 5th brain surgery in 2.5 years. And what happened originally 2.5 years ago, they found the golf ball-sized brain tumor. 11.5-hour surgery. They were able to go in. They were able to get it and remove it. That was all cool. But since then, they haven't been able to stop the leak. So I've had 1, 2, 3 other brain surgeries in an attempt to stop the spinal fluid leak. So what happens is where everyone's brain and spinal column contains their spinal fluid that circulates throughout that system.
Yeah.
I have a hole in the base of my skull, base of my brain technically, but the base of my skull that allows the spinal fluid, the base of the dura, allows the spinal fluid to leak out, and I end up with a good bit of swelling at the base of my neck on the right-hand side where the tumor was.
Okay.
So they tried the shunt. That didn't work. They pulled the shunt out, hoping it would heal. That didn't work. So now I'm torn between having to spend the rest of my life, awake 2 or 3 hours a day, sleeping 21 hours a day.
Oh, my God.
On its face sounds pretty cool. Right?
Maybe for a cat, not for a human.
Maybe for a cat. Very good. Very good. Not if you have a family and everyone else to support. So
right.
I've opted to go ahead. They said, look, at your age, you're a picture of health with the exception of the brain tumor
right.
and the spinal fluid leak. You're not on medication for anything. You're not. This is the time if we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to do it because we're confident that you'll recover. But what's interesting to me, Matt, is they're going back into the original wound. So everything that's grown for the last 2.5 years, if it's a part of the problem, they're going to remove it.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
In a way, it's a good bit more extensive than the other ones.
Do you mean? I just want to clarify that, Brian. So are you saying that there may be? Well, here, let's back up a little bit. are you saying that they didn't get all of the which was benign, right? For one thing, we should clarify that the tumor, right? Because obviously,
Yes, sir.
If that hadn't been benign, most likely, but at this point, you would not, you wouldn't still be with us.
Probably so.
But they did not. Are you saying they didn't get all of it initially? So it's possible, and I know that's common, right? Just from what I've heard and read and learned from conversations with you, they don't always get all of it, and as long as it's benign, that's not necessarily a terrible thing, right? But are you saying there's a possibility that in the 2.5 years since you had the initial surgery, what was left may have grown?
Well, I don't think there's so much worried about that, Matt. You're right. They got 99% of the tumor, they said.
Okay.
And the 1% of the tumor that they had to leave was right up against a particular artery in the brain.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
And their thought was if they went ahead and removed that last 1%, because it had attached itself to the blood vessel, the artery, if they had removed that 1%, they weren't confident that they could stop me from bleeding out.
Oh, God. Okay.
So what's happened is that when they repaired it, they put in a titanium plate. That didn't stop the leak. They took the plate out. They put in a titanium mesh. That didn't stop the leak. So after 2.5 years and the shunt and all the adjustments, they've realized that this hole, a fissure is what they call it, this fissure is never going to heal itself.
Okay.
So it actually leaks spinal fluid, which for me is not all that bad because, like I said, I think I've grown accustomed to operating a couple quarts low. But for everyone that hopes to have any modicum of mental health, you'd want your system sealed. Mine hasn't been, so they're going to go back in now. And what they're going to remove is, if that titanium plate is a part of the problem, they're going to go ahead and remove it, regardless of how much it's been overgrown by the bone tissue around it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does.
So
yeah.
They're saying just prepare, just mentally prepare yourself. Whenever you talk to your doctor and he goes, I've got to tell you what the risks are.
Right.
That they're paying attention to it. So
sure.
That's what I have to do. I'm going to be out for a while,
mm-hmm.
Probably a couple months, I would imagine. And by bed rest, they're just saying, don't mountain bike, don't kickbox, don't deadlift, don't do any of the things that you love.
Right.
You just got to relax. And that was a part of the Brian Brain Trust, which I have to thank my good friend Sue for setting up, because the proceeds from that brain trust, the largest portion of it goes to making sure that for the time immediately following, that my kids, my family and everyone else is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I'll do the bills. I'll do some of those other things on my own after I get back on my feet. But the Brian Brain Trust was designed to kind of help with just the day-to-day stuff, rent, that kind of thing, the day-to-day stuff that they'll need to go through while I'm incapable, really, of doing anything to help.
Yeah. Wow. Hello to Dr. Jeff Cassell, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Although he's a doctor of psychiatry, so he doesn't. He's not.
I could use that too.
Well, so he's a brain doctor of a different type.
Different type. Mind, yeah, I could probably use that help as well.
Oh boy!
And even though I laugh when I say that, to be honest with you, Matt, it's been, they put the shunt in and they said the shunt had malfunctioned. So I spent the better part of yesterday and today for certain. 2 years ago, I begged them to do this.
Yeah.
And they said, no. It's not what you think. It's not that bad of a leak. It'll heal itself. I just begged them to do it. And so it's something now to finally have them listening to me. The myelogram, which was an interesting machine, this is where they took me and contorted me and strapped me down and filled me full of a radioactive dye. I think it's iodine. It was a dye or whatever it is.
Okay.
And then they put me in the X-ray machine to see if they could find the hole. And when the doctor called, he said, "Oh yeah, we found the hole." So it's a good bit more sizable than I think they initially had thought.
Okay. Is that good or bad? Because I mean, is it good in the sense that it's easy? You know, finding it easily means it'll be easy to deal with, or does the size of
Great
it mean?
question.
Or does it mean it'll actually be worse, or does it matter?
No,
or?
great question. It's worse now because it's so large. That's why I get the swelling.
Oh.
You know, I've joked that I've been stopped before at a grocery store for trying to smuggle out a cantaloupe in my skull cap. So it's worse now because of the pooling at the base of my neck. But I think ultimately they'll pull back. You know, they'll get in, they'll open the skin flap, and then they ought to be able to see it bubbling right out.
Yeah.
You know, not unlike Jed Clampett and Beverly Hillbillies. They ought to be able to see it bubble right out of the ground. And then get in there with their Bondo or their Spackle or their Flex Seal, whatever it is, and get in there and plug it so I can get back to, you know, my abnormal life.
Well, then again, I mean, if you have crude oil bubbling out of your skull, you'd be rich.
I know. You know, I said to someone the other day, I may have said to you, a part of it's the amnesia as well, Matt. As you know, over the last couple of years, I've had some bouts where I've been hospitalized and other bouts that are less serious, but I just literally forget where I am, who I am, what I'm doing. So I may have said it to you last week, but I thought, you know, this would be great if there were a market for secondhand spinal fluid. They could just tap me like a maple tree, right?
Right.
Siphon this stuff off. And go, hey, and then it dawned on me, why would anyone want your spinal fluid? They'd probably want spinal fluid from someone a hell of a lot smarter than you.
By the way, you mentioned the shunt a couple times, but most I certainly didn't know until I got to know you, and our listeners probably don't know. What is a brain shunt?
Well, the shunt is set up, Matt, so that it looks like a piece of spaghetti with a small little, let's say about the size of a quarter, and they drill into the center of your brain. The smaller length of the piece of spaghetti, if you will, goes into your ventricle, where the CSF fluid is produced. The larger part, which is on the other end of the little pump, if you will, about the quarter-size pump, the larger part, they snake all the way down into your stomach, and so the spinal fluid, the extra spinal fluid, pumps from the center of your brain down through this little piece of spaghetti and into your stomach.
Okay.
Well, what had happened was that they had set my shunt so low that it was vacuuming out a good bit of spinal fluid. They didn't realize that the leak was still leaking. So the Parkinsonism, the burning of the eyes, the ringing of the ears, the lack of any real balance, just the debilitating headaches were because I was losing spinal fluid at both ends.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So a year later, when I went back in, I said, guys, you're killing me. You got to, you know, and they said, okay, let's pull the shunt out. And they did, and it started swelling instantly.
Yeah.
But they were still in hopes that the hole would heal itself. And it just, I guess spinal fluid is kind of caustic. So once it finds a hole, it's like the pool. It's like the caddies getting into the pool at Caddyshack.
Yeah.
You know, nothing holds them down.
Right.
That's the same thing with leaking spinal fluid, I'm told.
Okay. Wow. Dude, you've been through it. You've been through it, and and you're not done yet, but oh, wow.
And I think for me, Matt, the strangest thing is that if it were a hip or my lungs or my heart or bad knees, the most challenging part, and when they talk to me about the PTSD behind it all,
the
most challenging part is that it's the actual seat of reason. So
it's your brain,
when you want to muster your thoughts, when you want to rally your thoughts to say, hey, we can beat this, the very thing that's attacking you is the very thing you rely on, that you rely on to fight any other aggressor.
Right.
So the tough part has been that it's my actual brain that I'm fighting against.
Right.
Or a portion of it, right? So it's that's been the thing that's been most mercurial. not just the swelling and the headaches. And, I was getting to the point where I couldn't hold a glass in my hands and try to drink it because it would clatter up against my teeth. So what I really am focused on, though, and what I'd like to say is that it's given me appreciation, because you're absolutely right, Matt. I'm a really lucky guy. I very well could have died on the operating table. The person in the operating room next to me that went in for a brain tumor never made it out alive.
Oh, no kidding.
I could have had all different types of things happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you think of people with Alzheimer's, you think of people with Parkinson's disease. You think of all these other things. And I see people out that lost a good portion of their brain, or their ability to walk, or their ability to talk, to speak, or to think. So I'm really, 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 really lucky to have had it go down the way it did. And I've never been a kind of, hey, will you take this cup from me kind of guy. So, if this is my fate, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to run from his karma. If it's on me, it's on me. So now I'm just battling to figure out how to get back on top.
Yeah, yeah. And for those who don't know, too, because we haven't mentioned it today, of course, you've been on before, but that golf ball sized brain tumor where all this started, I mean, that had been growing for, they believe, 3 decades, right?
Yes, sir. 30 years. And we only found out about it because I've gone on a long run. Was pretty pleased in terms of the PR, the personal record, that the time that I had. It was in the hills. So, I was pretty pumped. And I went to get a cannoli. And I couldn't, when I went to get the cannoli, I couldn't taste it.
Yeah.
So I called my doctor and said, for whatever it's worth, I couldn't, my tongue is numb. And he goes, call your dentist. Leave me alone. And I said, I don't think it's a dental thing, though. And he goes, well, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a picture of health.
Yeah.
He goes, how many miles did you run last week? And he said, there's nothing wrong with you. But he says, to make you feel any better, come in. And I went in, and they did an MRI, and that's how they found it.
Yeah.
So if you ever invite me over for dinner, Matt, just serve styrofoam packaging peanuts, because the tumor in order to get to the tumor, they had to cut all the nerves to my tongue, so I can't taste anything anyways. My tongue is still numb.
Wow.
So I'm an easy guy to cook for, I think.
Do you have no sense of taste at all now?
Not in the very front of the front 2/3 of my tongue.
Okay.
Are totally numb. So I gotta watch when I drink hot liquids or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can taste things when they get to the back of my tongue, or I go to swallow, which has helped me develop a taste for things I may never have.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I like really spicy food now because I think I can feel it more than taste it. And that's one of the side effects that will not reverse. My eyesight has gotten a little worse. My hearing has gotten a little worse.
Really?
Because of the location of the tumor.
Okay.
And the aftermath. But, you make do with what you have, right, brother? You square your shoulders with fate and go, let's have it. Let's bring it.
Right. Exactly.
And go from there.
You got to play the cards you're dealt. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hello to Matt DaCosta, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. So, Brian, we should. I don't want to keep you too long. You got a lot you're dealing with, man. But let's remind everybody again what's happening on Facebook and some other places online. It's only just over a week away now, March 30th.
Yeah, it's a week from tomorrow. A bunch of really great people have gotten together and said, hey, let's do an 18-hour marathon. The show that I do is called All Natural Being. I'm really fortunate that it's been at the top of the list for a little while. So a lot of the other hosts of different shows and the like that have heard about what I'm going through, they're like, hey, let's do a live call in. And it'll be broadcast with audio and video and all the rest of it. So we'll be posting information on Facebook for people that want to learn about it. We'll learn about it there. But a week from this Saturday, which will be the 30th of March, we're going to go from, depending upon how long my voice and the spinal fluid permits, we're going to go from about 6 in the morning till midnight. And it will be for the Brian Brain Trust which is a GoFundMe page that has been set up, like I said, and I have to tell you, man, it's kind of humbling, right? Because I've never been in a position to need a lot of help.
Right.
But it's, here's the thing. The doctors say, okay, well, you've got to cut out all your stress. I go, I got 5 kids. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cut out all your stress. Oh, yeah, great. So, and let me also thank the people that have already joined Brian Brain Trust.
Yeah.
At that hashtag, because it really is helping me, right? Like, I know now I've got this covered and that covered, so I can kind of go, great, gas me, right? Knock me out, do whatever you got to do, and I can do it knowing that some of these things are buttoned up before I do it. And I apologize if I did mention this, but April 28th now is going to be the big day. So
okay.
I'm about a month out,
okay,
a little bit around in there, maybe a month out, and then we'll go in for our 5th and hopefully final time. Yeah.
Wow. Is there anything, by the way, anything special they have you doing leading up to that, or?
Well, with the one thing, Matt, was they had said, look, you can't lift more than a gallon of milk.
Ooh, wow.
You know me, I said, great. Who can drink that disgusting liquid anyway? Knock it off.
Yeah.
We mean lifting anything. So I had the tumor 20, which is me calling it now because I haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah.
I've gained 20 pounds. So what I'm going to do for the next month is go on I can still run. I can still, my balance, I just have to watch falling, but
yeah.
I can still do some stuff. So I'll be, watching my diet pretty meticulously. I'll be, get my workouts back in. I won't be able to, do anything that's going to cause pressure to push the spinal fluid out even more than it has. So I'll be doing stuff to lose the tumor 20 and then just buttoning everything up, Matt, so that when I go under, I know that the things that I'll need to be watched for are taken care of. And so that's about it. And then, just count down the days. I'm looking forward to having my mind back.
Right.
I'm looking forward to having my life back. I'm looking forward to, which again, and I'll leave you with this thought, which is why I realize how lucky I really am, because there's all kinds of people that are just a heck of a lot worse off than I am.
Right.
I'm very, 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 very lucky that, that it was a benign brain tumor. Mm-hmm. I'm just really lucky that it didn't do more damage than it did.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky to like cannolis. I think is what I would leave with. Right? For that cannoli, I still probably wouldn't go. I'd go, it's only numb, don't worry about it.
Right.
You're going to take cannolis from me. You're in for a fight. I should say that I'm very lucky to have a taste for Italian pastries. Well,
you did, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you can't taste it.
I can only daydream now. Right? I can only daydream now.
Right.
All right, Matt, I don't want to hold you up. I'll let you go. Thank you for everything, and for everyone in advance. If you get a chance to tune in on March 30th, I'd super appreciate it, and we'll look forward to hanging out with you then.
All right, brother. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
All right, you got it. Man. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, there you go. The great Brian Brawdy, host of All Natural Being. Brian contributed to one of my favorite segments. I've been, because at some point I'll, we'll be airing some sort of best of show. I've been kind of squirreling away these different segments that have occurred on the show over the past couple of years. And one of them is with Brian, and Brian and John Hopwood was here, and the discussion the three of us had, which got pretty got pretty out of control, but it made for a great radio moment.
IPMNation.com